Hello, and welcome to the podcast, episode 28, where today we're going to be discussing Slate Auto. Before I begin, there's something kind of hypocritical that I want to say. You're going to hear this, you're going to call me a hypocrite, my reputation that doesn't even exist is going to be ruined forever, and then I'm going to have to go work at McDonald's. It's just not going to be a good look. But I'm going to say it anyways. I'm gonna lean back, I'm going to put my arms out. You just imagine me leaning back and putting my arms out. I kind of like Slate. I like the Slate. It's weird, but I like it. I know in the past I've said like electric cars suck, and they do, but the Slate is cool? Question mark? I don't know how to feel about it. It seems like a cool thing. If you don't know what Slate is, I'll tell you in a little second. But I'm talking to those who already know what it is. Slate's kind of it's kind of its own thing, you know. Like I don't think any car company has ever kind of gone into the most depth, or at least executed a project like this before. So, for those of you who do not know, Slate is a new, let's call it a vehicle company. And they make one model of vehicle. They may come out with more. I think it would actually be pretty neat if they came out with more vehicles. But they make one vehicle, or are going to make one more vehicle. And it is a truck. It's a truck. It has no name. You give it your own. You can give it your own name, but it's just called Slate. And it's a bare bones electric truck that's really small, and it's as standard. It has nothing except the only luxury amenity inside of it is air conditioning. However, if you choose, you can make it a more like luxurious and elegant, or really just kind of your own thing. Basically, the way it works is right now you can reserve one for $50, and then later in I think Q4 2026 you pay over $20,000 for the actual truck. But just glossing over that, you reserve it right now, $50, and then you customize it. You can just customize it in a lot of different ways, just straight from the factory. You can lift it, give it different wheels and tires. You can give it a wrap. You can turn it into an SUV or a fastback, which is kind of like more of a hatchback, but they call it a fastback, which it really isn't. But again, just glossing over that. You can emboss whatever name you want into the tailgate. It's kind of neat. Now, I am aware that the last time I talked about an electric pickup truck, when it was fairly new, I said kind of like a lot of things that were not exactly right about it. I didn't say positive things about it because it wasn't. It was the Cybertruck, which is terrible. But a lot of the speculation that I did about it wasn't exactly true. And this is a similar case. I'm talking about an electric truck that isn't releasing until late next year, which is an even bigger time gap than the last time. So, just as for now, take everything I'm saying, in my opinion, with a grain of salt. Take it for granted. Because not a lot of people know exactly really what it's going to be like. Slate may not even make it by the time that it by the time that it is supposed to release. Because there's another feature about, I call it a feature, the price tag of Slate. Because it's initially a bare bones pickup truck, it's very cheap. I don't know if it's cheap to build, but it's very cheap. As at standard, it is $20,000. Now that's not a small amount of money, but in this economy where the Ford Maverick was supposed to kind of be what the Slate is allegedly going to be, and turns out it's not at all, there's a chance that that may not be financially viable for Slate. It's very financially viable for its customers, but the thing is that there are a few little things about it that I'm not entirely sure about that may put Slate in a bad situation. Number one, it's electric. Woogie, woogie, woogie. And that kind of puts it in a bad spot for people who have a similar mindset as I do towards electric vehicles. And that is, electric vehicles suck. They aren't ready, and they probably never will be. And there's also the fact of, electric vehicles are supposed to, be like a true powerhouse. The electric motors are supposed to deliver so much torque and so much power, and the Slate has 70 horsepower. And that's not a lot, especially for a pickup truck. A pickup truck is supposed to be a utilitarian vehicle. I've always loved, the style of mini trucks, but I've never really gotten why. Why mini trucks caught on. I get, they caught a lot of attention towards the people who, put airbags on them and effectively turn them into lowriders, but less so. But from a truck standpoint, they don't really make any sense. And this is a very similar situation with the Slate. The Slate's bed it's small. It's not big. And this is very noticeable where you go to Slate Auto, their website, and you scroll all the way down, and you go to their scroll menu where you see pictures of it, and you see a bunch of pallets of plywood in the back of it that are hanging out of the bed with the tailgate open. Now, there are pluses to having a small vehicle. The distance that it can go on one charge, or if it's gasoline, one fill up of fuel, the space that it takes up in your garage, and again, in my opinion, mini trucks kind of just look cool. But yeah, going back to kind of like the main selling point of a Slate, the customization. Yeah, you can really just kind of change everything to, a certain extent. Like, you can change the bumper accents, you can change the fascia, you can change the headlights and taillights, you can change if you want doors or not, you can change if you want an infotainment system. It's a very cool and unique business model for a car company. And it's just, whether it works, or whether it will work or not, we're just going to have to see. And the other thing is that you kind of have to wonder if Slate is kind of not showing everything about the Slate. Because that's what happened with the Cybertruck, right? They hyped it up for 4 years, and that just made me think of something else that I'll get to here in a little bit if I can remember. They hyped it up for 4 years, and then it just turned out to be a drab thing that is being recalled again because the side plate above the doors is falling off. And going back to what that made me think of, it's whether Slate will actually release in Q4 2026, which, if you don't know, Q4 is like late 2026. What if they run into an issue? And with this design, it's kind of difficult to do because it's a very simplistic, bare bones vehicle. But then you have to think about the vehicles that they're custom making for people. I'm sure a few people will order their Slates completely unmodded. It won't be very many people, but there will be people that do that. And it makes you wonder, how many people are going to, order their Slate and it comes in the mail because it's so small and it's not what they ordered. The vinyl wrap is wrong or the bumper accents are wrong. It could be, from the entire paint job being wrong to just the bumper accents being off. Something like that is inevitable, but you have to wonder, how many times is it going to happen? And if it ends up happening a lot, when are they immediately going to take action, or are they going to act like it isn't happening? Now, let me. I'm noticing something here. Under no circumstances am I, trying to make Slate seem like a bad company. Because for all I know, it's not. Do I believe Slate, if it releases, is going to be a revolutionary design for a car company? Absolutely. I think what Slate is doing is fantastic. And I think if they put a turbo 3-cylinder in the truck that they're making, it would be even better and they would have a lot more sales. But we'll just ignore that. However, when a company says that they're coming up with this really great thing, but it's not released yet, you can't fully trust them. And that's why I'm kind of keeping my speculation to a minimum. Or at least I'm trying to. To be honest, I've forgotten what I've said, and I may have said that Slate sucks, but I can't remember. I just watched the whole recording of this episode back and realized that I talked about how Slate is inevitably going to have some issues with their vehicles not being what their customers ordered. Oops. Anyways, let's go back to the facts, the specs. So, there are two batteries. One is better than the other for the Slate. There's the standard battery, which is 150 miles of range, and the extended, which is 240 miles. Both of which are not that good. But then you kind of have to think about how the Slate pickup truck is not exactly for long-range distances. I suppose you could if you wanted to travel, 100 miles. But really anything more than that, even if you have the extended battery, really isn't that smart. And then, of course, there's the safety features, which, yes, are kind of luxuries, but I can understand why they added them, and I do appreciate that they added them. And that's so they could, get that, perfect crash rating, which, is good. It has things like traction control, stability control. What else does it have? Remote keyless entry. What even is that? Backup camera. Ooh, it has a backup camera. That's kind of neat. Pedestrian identification. What even is that? Auto high beam and forward collision warning, but no backward collision warning, which means if there's something behind you and you're backing up, it's over for you. Oh, it actually has 201 horsepower. I thought it had 70. Where in the world did I see that it was 70 horsepower? I must be like seeing things. I need to take my schizo pills. Anyways, it has 195 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty good. And as I mentioned, not 70 horsepower, 201 horsepower, which for how much it weighs is pretty good. That's actually like really good. Let me see how much it can tow and pull. Okay, let's see. 1,400 pounds in the bed for the payload, and for towing, 1,000 pounds. That's pretty good. That's actually really good. And mind you, I said 201 horsepower for how much it weighs is pretty good. I don't actually know how much it weighs. Let me see if there's anything on that. But I think really no matter how much it weighs, and it can't weigh much more than 3,000 pounds, that's pretty good. So Slate truck weight. There might be something on this. Let's see. 3,600 pounds. Okay, so it's actually pretty heavy. But still, 201 horsepower is pretty good. It's going to be pretty spunky, I reckon. And an article that I just scrolled past reminded me of something. Jeff Bezos has something to do with this. And I know about 2 out of 3 people that will listen to this just turned it off. So that's kind of all they need to know. If it's Amazon related, I don't want to hear it. That's kind of what a lot of people have the mindset of. Now, I don't know exactly how he's affiliated with Slate. I'll have to do a little more research on that. But he is, and again, that takes a lot of people just out of the picture in terms of customers. But let's see what this article from Business Insider says. A lot of stuff about nonsense and just space holders, so if Business Insider can get more view time, so they can get all the money. It's from India, and the article is over. Okay. So that didn't help. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay, so Jeff Bezos effectively just said, "No, it's a good truck. I'm not affiliated with the company, but it's a good truck. I like it. It's so cool." And then he probably added a at the end. And there's word that you can actually order your Slate off of Amazon when it releases, which I don't really see the point of. You just order your truck off of the website, but you do you, I guess. But till the truck releases, no one can really say anything about it on solid ground yet. Until there's some kind of undeniable evidence that the truck is, everything that Slate has, hyped it up to be, we can't really say anything about it. And again, I'm not saying Slate is bad. If anything, Slate is kind of good. If they made internal combustion engines, it would be even better, But again, I think what Slate is going to do is actually really cool. I like their business model. I'm just not hopping on the train of, woohoo, yes, Slate, you go, yet. So, with that, I think that is all I have to say. Have a good day. And I'm running out of ideas for this outro segment. Like, seriously, it's getting ridiculous. I don't know what to say. I'm not fun.